What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Moving to Florida show, and this is part 2 of our Moving to Florida in 2023. Enjoy. Florida is still getting a huge influx of people. I mean, Disney has a new CEO now. Have you heard that? Did you hear this?
Yeah.
We got Bob back. Bob is back.
Oh, we got old Bob back, not new Bob.
We got old Bob back. New Bob is gone. Old Bob is back. Yep. So, I mean, you know how they were doing those reservation things for each park. Now they're getting rid of that. After 2 p.m., no more reservations. You can just go into the park.
Okay. Tell us what's going on with Disney, because I have not followed.
Theme park. So with Disney, Disney has their old CEO back. I think you're going to see a lot of positive changes with the new CEO back. I'm not saying that the old CEO was terrible by any means, but there's a reason why he's no longer there. That they had no confidence in him, so I guess they vote. How did they do? They vote him out or something?
I have no idea.
The board of directors start voting him out, so he got voted out, I guess. He got voted off the island, and now we got the old Bob back. So we're gonna see a little bit of changes in the theme park. Before, it used to be reservations for the entire day. If you didn't have a reservation to get into one of the parks, you're not gonna be able to get in. Now they're saying, hey, we're gonna cut off the reservations till 2 p.m. and then after 2 p.m. we're gonna open it up for everybody. So I'm guessing they're feeling a little bit of a pinch, saying there's not that many people coming into the parks because of reservations. They've capped off how many people are allowed to come in and out of the parks. So I think that will eventually change, especially with COVID now being just a normal strain of flu, I would say, just like any other flu season. Yeah, it's still pretty harmful, but take your precautions like you normally would. But I think that whole era of COVID has also died out, and people have just gotten over it and just said, "Hey,
it's become normal."
It's become normal.
Like we were talking about things becoming normal.
Yeah, it's become the normal. Yeah, exactly. So we're seeing that in the theme park. Oh, they're building more and more of the theme park. They're talking about a 5th park that they're planning on adding.
I haven't heard this.
Yeah, it's just I just read that in one of the WDW that there's a thought of. Or there's an idea of a 5th park. I mean, they have plenty of land to put 17 different parks. Yeah. So they're planning on putting a 5th park, building back their relationship with Florida. There was a little bit of a back and forth between the state of Florida and Disney. So
they're going to build back better.
Build back better,
right? They're going to make Disney great again.
Something like that. So you build. We're just using everybody else's slogans these days. Right. There's hope. There's hope for Disney out there.
All right, so I have a prediction, Mo. So let's go back to moving to Florida in 2023, because I've been talking to different clients that are looking to move to the state. I think some of the smaller markets that have remained a little more affordable, I think we're going to see more growth in these markets, especially if interest rates stay up. People still want to move to Florida, right? They're just going to move to where they can afford it, because if you're looking at moving to Florida and maybe you were going to move to Orlando or one of these suburbs close to Orlando, you're going to move to Winter Garden, but now Winter Garden's out of your price range. Well, there's Winter Haven, there's Sebring, there's all of these more affordable markets that, I mean, hey, it's still Florida. It's the same climate, right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And in those markets, land is more affordable. The builders are going to go there and be able to build homes more affordably.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that's where I see some of this year going. I think we're going to see more development in those areas.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like the Deltona. I mean, Deltona is still developing. I think it's one of those areas that still needs a little bit of development. We were seeing like Auburndale. Auburndale is also now becoming one of those hot spots. Winter Haven, Haines City. When we were seeing a lot of new construction out there, but I think more so now because of affordability of land, affordability of housing, affordability. And another thing we're starting to see a lot more of is apartment buildings. Are you seeing that everywhere?
They're
apartment
everywhere.
Buildings are building everywhere. In Claremont too, I heard there's a project for 3 or 4 apartment complexes coming out.
I mean,
there.
nothing like Winter Garden, but yeah, there's
nothing like Winter Garden. On Avalon Road alone, I think there's like 8. But yeah, I think what a lot of people are doing, that they're moving to Florida. Maybe they can't afford the housing yet. they're renting
Right.
and
Driving that demand on the apartments.
driving that demand on the apartments, driving that demand in the rental market, and trying to see, okay, how does Florida turn out for us? And, testing Florida out, basically. Those what I call is the people moving here and renting, they're testing Florida out, basically, and seeing if this is the right place for them. And
Right.
eventually you
Yeah.
get accustomed, if you live here for a year, you get accustomed to the weather, you get accustomed to the parks, you get accustomed to going to the beach, you get accustomed with
There you
all
go.
these fun things that happen here, and then they end up buying a house. Which I think we're going to start seeing an influx of those people once their lease is coming due for a re-up. So they're going to say, okay, instead of paying $3,000 for a 2-bedroom apartment, why don't we just look for a house?
Yep. Interesting. So, maybe a little bit of an aside on these apartments, but I learned something recently. Was talking to somebody who their spouse is in property management for some of these big apartment buildings, and the pricing algorithm for these apartments for the rents, because it's crazy. If you can look at a 2 or 3 bedroom apartment, it's just about the same price to just rent a house.
Yeah.
And why is that? But apparently all of those prices are done by AI. On the apartments, on these bigger apartments, they're all programmed by AI, and they fluctuate literally daily. The prices fluctuate. So, apparently we have seen some drawback on those too. We've seen those come down a little bit.
Yep.
I have some clients that were hoping to buy a house. They were trying to figure out if they were going to buy a house or if they were going to keep renting their apartment. And they were like, it's going to be $2,200 a month for our 2-bedroom apartment. Yeah, interest rates are high, but we can buy a 3-bedroom house for that.
Yeah.
And, we started looking, we were moving through the process, and then they got their renewal letter 2 months later. And they had talked to people. That's what they were paying, was at $2,200, I think it was.
Right.
They got their renewal letter and it was only $1,900.
Yeah.
So, those prices came back down.
Right. Right.
So interesting, right? Because I don't know how the AI does it, where all of that comes from, but yeah, that's what I learned is all of the apartment pricing is done by AI.
AI. Interesting. That's really interesting. I think the same thing happened with my brother. My brother wanted to move into another unit, a 2-bedroom unit in his own building. He didn't want to leave his building. He was staying in a 3-bedroom, so one of his roommates moved out. So he's like, okay, let me downsize and go into a 2-bedroom. And they said, okay, yeah, well, the starting price in downtown was $2,300 at the time. He's like, okay, no problem. He's like, send me the link. And then the next day, he's like, sorry, bro, it's $2,700 and change now.
Whoa.
He said, wait a couple of weeks, it'll go back down. So he waited a few more weeks and he came back down.
Refresh. It's crazy.
Yeah. So, but he did say that, in downtown, that the building that he's staying at, which is a really nice building, is really, really close to Publix, right off of Lake Eola. And he was saying, rent prices were going so high, and then all of a sudden they dropped, and then they're back high again, and then they dropped. He asked the guy, he's like, who's making this stuff up? It's like, who's coming up with this stuff?
Right.
He said the guy didn't even know who was the salesperson didn't even know who was making this stuff up. He's like, I'm just reading off the computer right now, but
Yeah, turns out it's a robot.
it's a robot. He did also say that they didn't sell a single or they didn't rent a single apartment for 3 months, so that could also be an indication of why the price dropped too.
Yeah, makes sense. Well, when things are no longer affordable, people aren't going to buy. People aren't going to rent.
Exactly.
There's always that option of staying put, right? You continue living in the basement, continue living. Don't move to Florida, maybe because it's more expensive than I thought. It happens. So yeah, it's maybe a good thing that things have come down a little bit to something that's a little more realistic.
Yep. All right, what else is going on here in Florida?
I recall you saying something about Chase Bank. What was going on with that?
Well, I just read an article that the president or CEO of Chase Bank wants to spend $1 billion in the housing market. Now, you wonder why, with the crazy housing market that's going on right now. He said, you know what? Something about real estate. He said not just in Florida, the $1 billion is going to be spread through the 50 states or however many states they thought of. They're saying there's still a demand of housing, like we talked about. There's still a shortage of houses. And what this does is we saw during 2020 and 2021, a lot of investors, hedge funds, and all these banks and stuff buying homes and renting them out. So they saw the profit margins on that were tremendous. The ROI on that, the return on investment, was tremendous. So that's exactly why I think Chase Bank is doing that. They saw, okay, the housing market is still doing pretty decently. It's not like it's crashed by any means. I don't think we'll see a crash. I don't think they predicted a crash either. They're saying, okay, we do see that now with the sellers are, being more flexible. It'll be easier for them to get a deal now.
Right. And they think long term, obviously,
And
that it is going to
They
go
think
up.
5, 10 years, 15 years ahead.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I think it's reasonable to expect that real estate prices will still go up over the next 5, especially 10 years, even if they do go down a little bit in the interim.
Right.
Speaking of, do we want to make some bold predictions?
Let's do it. Sorry, I was taking a sip. Yeah, let's do it. Let's make some bold predictions.
Where do we think that the price of housing and rents? I mean, we can separate these out, but where are costs going in 2023 for the cost of housing here?
I think
Florida?
the cost is still going to go up. Value of homes will go up still. I think but it's going to go down to 3 to 5% year over year. It's not going to...
Not the 15% that we were seeing?
Not the 15, 20, 30% that we were seeing. But it's going to go... Your value of your home, the value of your properties, depending on where you are, is still going to climb up. And percentage-wise, if you're in like Winter Haven or somewhere out in the sticks, your home value probably won't go up dramatically, but it will go up.
Did you just call Winter Haven the sticks? Because you were talking about it being hot earlier.
Well, I still think it's an hour drive for me. It's the sticks. But no, it's no longer the sticks. I don't believe so, because I was just driving through there the other day, and everywhere you look, there's new construction happening.
There's a lot of new construction going on in Winter Haven for sure. And you know what I just learned? There's of course Legoland is there. Legoland, the Lego theme parks in Winter Haven. Apparently they have a Peppa the Pig theme park there too.
Yeah, it's a small Peppa the Pig theme park right off of Winter Haven.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. Anyway, an aside there. Sorry to interrupt.
No worries.
So, all right. So you think the price of housing is going to continue to go up in 2023, maybe 3 to 5%, 3 to 5% year over year. So higher than it was in 2021.
Yeah, I think rent values...
2022, whatever last year was.
Whatever last year was. And going back to rent prices, I think rent prices will remain stagnant. It'll still remain high the way it is, because people are still coming down, and apartments are still being built left and right here, because there's still a huge influx of people that just want to test out Florida.
Yep, that makes sense. So you don't think rents are going to increase, but you think mortgages are?
I think so too. I think so. I think mortgages are going to go up home, because people who moved in last year are going to buy a house this year.
Okay, fair point. People that were paying really high rents last year are going to buy really expensive houses this year. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
Especially during the summer's time, because that's when right before school starts. So I think we're going to see an influx during the summer months.
Okay, interesting. My thoughts are a little bit reversed from yours.
Uh-oh.
I think house prices are going to be a little flat this year. I don't think we're going to see a lot of price growth. But we're not really going to go backwards either. I think we've already gone backwards a little bit.
Yeah.
But I think we're kind of we're stabilizing right now.
Yeah.
I do think if you're shopping, it's a good time to get a deal. I think you can make an offer that's a little bit maybe under the actual value and get it accepted right now, or get a fair bit of your closing costs paid. I think now is a really good buying opportunity, but I think those prices will stabilize. And then I think rents, especially on the single family side, who knows about those algorithm driven apartments, but on the single family housing side, I think rents are going to start eking back up again. I think they're going to start getting a little bit more expensive. Just with everybody, kind of pumping the brakes right now with what interest rates have done over the last 6 months, and kind of seeing what's going to happen. I think as we get into the spring and summer, we're going to see those rents start climbing again.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Again, nothing crazy, not $400,
Yeah.
a $400 climb in a week or anything like that. But
Right.
I think rents are slowly going to be squeaking up. Home values are probably going to stay about the same, and then maybe in 2024, as people get more used to a 5% interest rate, we'll start to see home values climbing again.
Based on what you just said on interest rates, we just talked about interest rates probably fluctuating and coming back to normal in the summertime, and that's what I feel like. The summertime is going to be a huge influx of home buyers, and you're not going to see as many deals as you are now. But that's what I'm saying. That's what you said, and I'm reiterating what you said. I think now is the best time to buy, even though the interest rates are still a little bit up there. It's still the best time to buy because you're
100% agree with you.
Yeah.
100% agree with you there. Yeah, so guys, if you're planning to move to Florida this summer, you might want to get a jump on the home shopping and just go ahead and maybe have something locked down by the springtime because probably it's definitely going to get tougher this spring and this summer to get something under contract. You're going to be competing with multiple bidders again where right now you can get some of your closing costs paid or a rate buy down. Mo, you mentioned the rate buy down earlier, the 2-1. You want to go into that a little bit?
I think we did that in the past, but just a quick synopsis of what the 2-1 is basically your first year of your interest rates will probably be 2 points less, and your second year will be 1 point less, and your third year will go back to normal. Now, there's no stipulation, not that I know of. I could be wrong. It could be, depending on the lender you use, you could refinance within those 2 years and lock in a lower rate. So if you do see the rates go down to your liking, you can just, say, hey, instead of doing instead of bringing it down only 1 point next year, let's refinance and bring it and keep it at the 2 point less. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So basically, if you qualify for a 6% interest rate right now, your first year you're going to be at a 4% interest rate. Your second year at a 5%, and then year 3 is when you go back to that 6%. And that's the idea. It is kind of meant to buy you some time until rates come down and you can refinance.
Right.
So this is a seller paid buy down.
Yes.
And the buyer gets that credit dollar for dollar. So if the seller pays $12,000 for the buy down, it's really actually just a math formulation of what that rate buy down costs. So if you refinance after year 1, you've still got a chunk of change left in that credit. You actually, as the buyer, get that back.
Yeah.
Or can credit towards your closing costs. So yeah, right. Absolutely. That's what it's meant for. And right now, we're seeing those get accepted. The sellers are willing to pay those if you can get within striking distance probably of their asking price. And it can really get you down here cheaper for your first few years until hopefully rates normalize.
Yeah. which we're all seeing and predicting. Even the market predicted this, that the rates will come back, at least mortgage rates will come back to normal and whatnot. Again, what is normal? No one knows.
Right.
All right. We're 40 minutes in, man. Let's do this. Let's talk about you now. What's going on with you?
Well, we bought a house.
And I bought another house.
Yeah, we bought another house, and instead of 2 years, we did this one in 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
So it happened pretty quickly. But yeah, I talked about on the show before, we were looking for something maybe a little further out,
right.
On a little bit more land.
In the
we
sticks.
actually found so we're actually moving closer to town. We're moving into actually Claremont city limits, where we're outside of the city limits right now, but a third of an acre.
Oh, nice. A third of an acre.
Yeah, so we're happy to have a little bit more space, a little bit of a fixer-upper. The house was like halfway done, and the contractor just ghosted the people, and I think they were like, we're done with this. So we ended up getting, we feel like a pretty good deal. Mo, I saw you talking there, but I couldn't hear you.
I was like, I'm sure that even they thought, the cost of things are just too high, and then just said, just
right.
screw it. It's just, we'll just let the new buyer pay for it and all the improvements.
Yep. So that's what we did. So I feel like we're walking into some equity on it. A little bit smaller house, but we know the size of our family now.
Right.
We're not planning on having any more kids. So, we're going from a 4-bedroom, 3-bath into a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. But a lot more outdoor space, which is what we were really looking for. So we're pretty excited about that.
Yeah, you guys
just got to spend the next.
Anyways.
We got to spend the next month or two getting it ready.
Oh, okay. So you guys, and then you guys are moving in there.
Yes. Yep.
And then renting the one that you are staying in right now.
That is the game plan. Yep.
All right. Sounds good. What's your rent, Martin? I'm just kidding.
We will see what the market says.
You know
When the
what's
time
crazy?
comes.
You can't even predict that right now. It's like, okay, I want to
Right.
put it for, X amount of dollars. And then 2 months later, like, you know what? I think that we were completely off.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that happened to us in 2021 when we bought this house. We kept our old house in Winter Garden. We used it as a rental, and the plan was to use that income for qualifying for the new loan.
Right.
And so I had to tell the lender, I think we'll be able to rent it for $2,000 a month. Okay,
Right.
great. Well, by the time this house was actually built, it took like 9 months. We rented it for $2,300. So we rented it for $300 more than we were originally expecting. So yeah, this one, who knows? Maybe we'll go the other way. I hope not. Again, I just predicted rents are going to go up this year. So I have a good idea of what we'll get in rent on this, and the numbers work for us.
All right,
But we're just excited to get a little more outdoor space. Get some raised garden beds and grow. We do have plans to plant fruit trees and do all that fun stuff on this new land.
Nice. Very nice. I'm happy for you guys. So you're going to be further out into the sticks of
No, we're
Claremont.
closer to town.
You're closer to town. That's right. That's
Yeah.
right.
We'll-
I think
we'll
my
actually
parents are
be-
closer to town too.
We'll actually be pretty much walking distance to my son's school, which is pretty
really?
awesome.
Oh, that'd be awesome. That would be awesome. Cool. So you guys are moving again in 2 months, but you're staying in town. You're not leaving town. You're
That's
staying
right.
in town. Yeah.
That's
You were
right,
looking
guys.
at some other spots outside. You were looking at what is
We
that?
looked all over.
Yahala and
Yalaha.
Yalaha. So I'm glad you're not going to Yalaha.
I'm glad we didn't buy a house built in 1880 because that's when
Yeah.
that one was built.
How old is this house that you guys bought?
1989. So a little
Okay,
bit older
so
house, but 100 years newer than the other one.
33 years old. It's not that bad. 34 years old. That's not too bad. A little bit of fixer up. Yeah, my brother-in-law just bought a house in Maryland, built in 1967, 1968. I mean, once you buy a house and it's like 4,800 square feet. Once you buy a house out in Maryland and Virginia, that whole area, and they're older homes. They're not.
There's
building
older
any-
homes up there, yeah.
Yeah, older homes, but they've been refurbished so many times over that it looks like you're going into a brand new house. It might look a little old from the outside, but when you go inside, it's super modern.
Nice.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, well, that's where we got to get this one. It needs some
Get
updating,
the
but
house
we'll
a little
get it
bit,
there.
a little bit more modernize
That's
it a little
right.
bit. So you're no more, pumping the well to get water. That's awesome, bro. I'm happy for you guys. I know
Yep,
you guys
we're-
been looking
we're
for some
excited.
time too.
That's right. Yeah. We just never felt quite comfortable in the new construction home that we bought. And I think some of it, 40-foot lot, guys, is pretty tight. So be aware of that, especially
Yeah.
if your neighbors are parking on the street. Navigating, there's dumpsters on our street because of the new
yeah.
construction.
New construction, yeah.
Definitely, we've talked about this on the show before. If you're going to buy new construction, get in the community early. That's how you're going to get the most equity as the builder
Yes.
raises prices.
Yes.
But you do have to be willing to live in a construction zone.
Yeah, which we are right now. The house
Right.
next door is being built. A house 2 houses down is being built. So in our block, we have maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 houses in our street. And out of the 7, only 3 have closed.
Yeah.
4 have closed. 3 are still being built. We do have 2 big, huge dumpsters, which, by the way, are really, really beneficial if you're moving in. You can throw all your
Fair
flat
point.
boxes in. Throw all your trash, your flat boxes. Recycle only. Don't put food in there. You're going to see a flock of crows if you throw food and stuff into those dumpsters.
And the bugs. You get
And
the bugs.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of bugs. We're seeing a lot of bugs. I think the neighborhood at one point saw a lot of mice. So we haven't seen any, knock on wood. We haven't seen any mice in our house. We have seen a lot of those little gnats and flies everywhere. But we're breaking their homes. You know what I mean? We're breaking their ground. Breaking the the way they used to live.
You make it sound so sad.
I know, right? we're we're terrorizing their land right now. But yeah, it's all good, man. It's it's all good.
Man, before we go on too far, I think we need to wrap this up, Mo. We got to
let's
do
do
this
it.
again sometime. It's good to
Yeah.
be back here in 2023.
I got to pull up my notes now. I got to pull up. Do I?
Oh, you don't remember our outro?
I can still never remember our outro, man. It's been through 3 months now since our last outro.
Yeah. Well, hey guys, while Mo gets that pulled up, we do want to hear from you guys. If you have questions about moving to Florida, if you need a realtor in Florida, I think I'm doing your wrap up already.
Yeah, you are.
We do want to hear from you. But hey, not only that, we want to hear from people maybe that have moved to Florida in the last year or two. If you're new to Florida and you still listen to the show and you want to come on the show and talk about what your experience was like, we'd love to have you on. Or maybe if you're a real estate agent or a real estate professional somewhere in a different part of the state, you got some different experiences, know areas that we don't know. We'd love to have you on to talk about it too.
All right, guys, we want to hear from you. Just like Jetson said, you can reach us on our Moving to Florida show hotline, which is still active, by dropping a voicemail or texting us at 407-900-5859, or drop us a DM on Facebook or Instagram at Moving to Florida Show. And for Twitter, our handle is at Moving to FL Show. If you'd like to connect with us, if you have any questions, or if you need a realtor in Florida, you can reach us at movingtofloridashow@gmail.com. Be sure to subscribe to the show if you like our content, so that it would automatically download to your device and get you one step closer to moving to Florida.